roses were living the dream.
To you, my darling.
No, to you.
Until it all came crashing down.
You got fired.
Fired?
On August 29th, stop.
Stop!
And see The Roses. Rated R. In theaters everywhere, August 29th.
Getting ready to step into your career era? Set yourself apart with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Hone your skills with apps like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, and more, powered with the latest in creative AI. Students save over 55% so you can build a portfolio you're proud of. Launch your future with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Visit adobe.com/students to learn more.
Welcome to the Tour Coach Podcast. I'm Tony Ruggiero here, as I always am, your host, and you're joining in on what we are now having as the Tour Coach Minis. And those are little 10-minute conversations with myself or Jackson Court, who's going to be hosting some of this. Most of you are all familiar with Jackson. Great young teacher, now at Atlantic Beach Country Club, and he spends a lot of time with us. And we've invited Jackson to be part of this. He does such a good job, spends so much time. But these will be 10-minute conversations and musings from around the world of golf, from around our travels, our friends, our players, other coaches, to give you more Tour Coach, more Dew Sweeper content during the week. So you now have got your main Tour Coach podcast coming on Mondays, followed by a mini on Wednesday and a mini on Friday. So you've got all the Dew Sweepers, all the Tour Coach you could ever want. And just like the Dew Sweepers radio show or the Tour Coach podcast, the Tour Coach minis are brought to you by our friends at Shrixon Golf, our friends at Bushnell, Buick, GMC, especially Mitch McConnell and McConnell Automotive. And you can't forget Vineyard Vines that keep us all looking good. So enjoy this episode of the Tour Coach Mini. And we're here with all the golf content you could ever want each and every week.
Standing in the structure with Rich, watching him chip a couple balls at the picker as he has, 5 minutes of free time in a day during Players Week. Thanks for joining me, Rich.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Thanks for having me.
Busy week here at Atlantic Beach Country Club. For those who follow along, I've been doing these minis for Tony now, and been at Atlantic Beach for... creeping on 14 months. Time's flying by, but Rich, appreciate you, first of all, letting me come and start to do some instruction here. This club has been incredible because the people and the culture here across the club is awesome. Like I was talking about culture with guy at Old Palm previously because we go down there for work, but then obviously this place is near and dear to both of us. You've been here for...
coming up on 8 years now.
8 years. So you've seen massive changes throughout the club.
Yeah, we've seen some pretty dramatic change. So my first year at the club, we have 178 home sites here at the club. And at one point in time, I was able to bomb from one side of the golf course to another to take care of a pace of play concern. And we were doing, 16,000 rounds, and now we have all of those home sites are built on, and we're doing approximately 29,000 rounds. So we've seen our membership grow quite a bit and evolve. Our dues, our initiation fees, everything has kind of risen with the other costs that we have in life, and as well as our real estate here in Atlantic Beach. But what I'm most proud to say about this club is we haven't lost sight of what matters, and that's certainly people and the casual environment. But, the excellent service standards that we have here at the club are certainly something that's unique. Having a guy that has a backwards hat and flip-flops on walking up to the putting green, but he's a multimillionaire and he's just a cool dude. Yeah. So it's a pretty cool part of our club.
Some unreal members here. And I think because of that culture, and it's a little relaxed next to the beach, you get that same thing crossing over into golf. Now, the pace of play is fast, but everybody else here seems to have a slower pace of life.
That's right.
And it's great.
Yeah, it really is. I think Jackson's done a great job with embracing that, and I know that he's done this at his previous facilities, but just playing some tunes while you're giving a lesson, and having that vibe continue on in our instruction program here, and I think the members have really enjoyed that.
So you've seen the club evolve a bunch over the years, and obviously the golf industry has changed a bunch in that short period of time, as has golf instruction. But on your end, being the boss of the guys in the operation side, what's evolved for you?
Yeah, so I would say ultimately, it was a one or a two-man operation early on, and finding, assistant golf professionals that, were committed to the industry was a challenge. And I'm proud to say that, we're well on our way to developing and forming a strong team here, and I think that the team that we have in place right now has done made some dramatic changes for the club in a positive way. And I know some clubs are really still struggling with that and just need to stay patient for those right people and train them. And we also, just understanding that, they don't need to know everything on the first day, but as long as they embrace the culture, work hard, and have a positive attitude, team building is so important for the success of your club.
Yeah. Constant learning curve, especially with all the changes. So when bunker renovation was last June?
Yeah, so we had a fairway bunker renovation this past summer, and then we're about 2 years into all of our bunkers being renovated. So we did greenside bunkers in the summer of 21.
Mm-hmm. And then reconstruction on the range.
Yeah, reconstruction on the range. So we formed kind of a new practice area. All of our green targets are based on strokes gained on the PGA Tour. So we have different target sizes as we get farther back. We also renovated the clubhouse, added pickleball, renovated our turn house into having beer taps upstairs, which I think people will get really excited about, and some more utilization.
Is the transfusion machine coming too?
Yeah, transfusion slushy machine is on its way, and I think the members are certainly going to enjoy the back nine.
Yes. Okay. So, talk a little bit about the evolution maybe in golf instruction that you've seen.
Yeah, great question. I think, as a kid when I was taking lessons, if I recall correctly, all of the lessons I took as a kid were fairly cliche. Posture, grip, stance, all of that. And then what I've learned more and more in the industry is, relationships are huge with an instructor, but we've also seen a huge social media presence from some instructors. But I think what's most important is, a consistent delivery to your students. Obviously, you're going to have some students that learn in different ways, and having an instructor that can deliver a message based on that student's needs is just so important. We've seen instructors come and go at various facilities, and some instructors teach one method, and that works for some people and it doesn't work for others. And I think the most successful ones are ones that can deliver the same message in just multiple ways
to those different people.
Yeah.
And then with the growth of golf, operations wise, instruction wise, has it been difficult for you to have those ends meet?
Not with you here. I've seen a dramatic increase just in the 14 months that you've been here. I think our golf instruction is probably just still a tick behind where the rest of the operation is, just from a growth standpoint.
Slap in the face.
A little slap in the face there.
Get on it.
But that's just to say that Jackson's been here for 14 months, and we still have some potential in the operation and instruction alone that we can grow a junior program by another 50 juniors, no problem. I'm confident in that. Just going to take some time to earn the members' trust and put the past in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, I think the challenge I've seen and need to get past, besides a couple other things, is the club here has everything to offer: fitness, swimming, tennis, pickleball, golf, drinking, right? Like it's got it all. And then in the summer, the kids have all that, and then they've got baseball, they've got flag football, and then there's also like surf camp. And then on my end, figuring out obviously schedule with that, but how to maybe even combine those programs, because especially to get juniors young and continue them through golf, which is what clubs need, and this club is pretty young, and then it has a bunch of kids with that, and being able to grow the golf aspect for those kids not only obviously helps me short term, but also growing instruction, and then helps the club down the road as well as they continue into membership and spend money and part of the club.
Yeah, I think you might need to start giving bunker lessons on the beach at the next to the surf camp. There's an idea for you.
Throw some Coronas to the parents.
Yeah.
Okay. Give us your consistent message for instruction to the people you teach.
Yeah, so I'd say my consistent message, a lot of the students that I have are somebody that's looking for, and I quote, looking for some one or two things, and I don't want to go see Jackson quite yet because I know he's going to change everything about my swing.
Hey, now.
I'm too old, and I just don't have the time to commit. So, the approach that I'll give and the message that I'll deliver is you can take this one lesson. We may start hitting it pretty good, but if you're not going to practice and you're not going to have a commitment to, advancing in this game and spending the time and instruction, learning, being a student of the game, you're just wasting your money.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of the message before I finish my 60-minute lesson and then say, the next lesson you should take should probably be with Jackson. And I still enjoy teaching, and I'm out 3 or 4 hours a week max at this point, but I'll hold on to some students. But I think the message is you just really need to put in the time and understand really a few basic principles that are going to allow you to play the game better and enjoy yourself a little bit more.
Because time's different depending on the person.
Yes.
If you're retired and you got a bunch of time to do it, if you're working and you got kids and you got a bunch of other stuff, that's where the instructor has to make sure the information is correct and also how they apply it, which is tricky.
Right.
Right,
well, and there's plenty of times where you see something in a working dad's swing, and that if you're going to tell him that the amount of time it's going to take for him to fix it, or maybe you don't deliver that one thing, but you improve a club face versus something that's a little bit easier for him to control and understand before the next lesson.
Yeah, and understand the flights with that.
Yeah.
I asked Tony this question maybe a month ago, 2 months ago. And I've been milling over it for a long time. So you get a guy that walks up in front of you, right? And he's going to take a lesson every 2 to 3 weeks for 2 years. And you've got Joe Schmo that walks in behind him, same swing, same guy, but he's only going to take a lesson a year. Is that the same lesson, that first one?
It's a good question. I would say that first lesson is probably the same lesson.
Okay.
And,
that's what Tony said.
Yeah, I think it's probably the same lesson because, where do you start, right? And I assume you have some sort of principle and explanation of, your teaching method and what you're planning on doing. So, yeah, you're communicating, we're working on this, and this is what it's going to do for you. Now, I think that student that plays a few times a year and takes a lesson a year later, he's still going to remember those 3 things, but the guy that's hopefully, depending on who he is, but the guy that's going to take a lesson every couple weeks is really going to fine-tune each one of those principles, and hopefully,
right,
if they're correct, you see some dramatic improvement.
Yeah. Rich, thanks for sitting in. This probably won't be the last one I drag you into.
All right, thanks, Jackson. Cheers.
Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero. And look, recently, several teachers I know and several players have had some scares with skin cancer. In fact, I recently went and saw a dermatologist here in town, and I had a couple things frozen off, eyelid, my face, my earlobe, and not getting any younger. And I know it's getting to that time of the season where it's cooler, but look, being in the sun is a real deal, and I've not been very good, to be totally honest, my whole career at using it at all because I didn't like how greasy it was, how hard it was to get off your hands, how it clogged up my pores. And then I found this sunscreen, Visor Skincare. It's clear, it goes on, it doesn't dry you out, it isn't greasy, it's like you didn't put anything on. By far, it's the best sunscreen I've ever used. Without a doubt, is the easiest to use. And we've got a discount code for all of you. All you have to do is go to visorskincare.com, is use our code word, DewSweeper. visorskincare.com, code word DewSweeper. I just want to remind everybody something that I forgot. Recently, a couple weeks ago, my wife and I went out. We went to a wedding, and afterwards with some friends, we were like, hey, where's a great place to go? I'll be honest, like in my travels and day-to-day, sometimes I get caught up and I forget some of the great places right around the corner. But I got to remind you about the Icebox Bar on 755 Monroe Street. I was blown away by just the whole vibe, the atmosphere, and with the Velvet Pig, the food in the back room, and the big screen TVs up front. We sat there and watched some playoff games. I was blown away by the atmosphere, the vibe, and just how cool it was to have the Icebox Bar right here near the Dew Sweepers downtown, near where I live. You're looking for a great place to go sit, watch some games, hang out, play some pool, you got to go to the Icebox Bar right there on Monroe Street. There's a good chance you'll see all of us hanging out. But do yourself a favor, go visit the Icebox. It's one of the best places out there.